Before we get into this video, are you looking for a coach? Well, great, that's what I do. So, if you want to get a session in with me sometime, go ahead and hit me up on Twitter or on Discord. Everything you see in front of you is all what I offer, and this goes for other players who are not just Shoto players, so if that's something you're interested in, make sure to shoot me a DM. With that out of the way, let's go and get right into the guide. Hello everyone, my name is Ronanix, and today I'm bringing you yet another kin guide. This time it's going to be focused on microspacing and movement. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into it. So going ahead and starting things off, let's go ahead and talk about why you should be walking instead of dashing in neutral. Okay, so to start things off, I'm sure you guys have seen it a million times, whatever you see, like you start neutral and you see kin players moving around, doing a lot of this, and their main ways of finding their opening is jump in nair or like a dash and tilt or something like that. Okay, that is very dated. We are past that now. We can now focus more on just controlling space, which is the main thing I'm going to be talking about. So the main distance you want to be able to be from your opponent whenever you you find like the match starts, and your first objective should always be taking center stage. That's just notoriously for almost every character, because once you control center stage, you can pretty much control the pace, because now you have all the resources to be able to walk back and at the same time approach if you need to. So your opponent has less stage to work with. So now, whenever I'm at this distance, the way I want to space myself from my opponent is right outside of his burst range. So how would you measure someone's burst range? Simple. What's their best burst options in neutral? So for kin, our best burst options would be, the most notorious, just short hop in nair, dash walk hard down tilt, and pivot cancel forward tilt. Okay, so in neutral, if I was playing against a kin or something like that in the Ditto, I'd be spacing right outside of that range. Okay, now the reason all this is important is it ties into one of the most important theories to understand about Shoto's neutral and movement is positional pressure. So what positional pressure is based off of is there is a zone that your opponent can and cannot react to. Okay, and normally what happens whenever you dip inside that zone that they cannot react to, it makes them want to swing. You know what I mean? Like they want like, oh god, he's inside the range that I can dash attack him or whatever the hell. I'm gonna throw it out. But what I do is I shimmy in and out of side of that zone, so if they try to swing, I can just walk back and whiff punish them. Walk back hard down tilt, walk back F tilt, whoops, not that, no one does the funny punch. Walk back F tilt, walk back Hadoken, things like that, and it helps you like whenever it comes to boxing and microspacing in neutral. Sometimes they won't pick an aggressive option, they won't just throw out a burst option, right? So what you want to do is you want to gauge what happens whenever they pick a defensive option, like holding shield because they don't know what you're going to do, or trying to jump over you, or things like that, or just simply backdashing away. If they backdash away, you just follow them. If they hold for shield or something like that, you can just pivot cancel in with F tilt or dash walk hard down tilt. But whenever you're contesting space in neutral, which is mainly what I'm talking about, is whenever you're doing this whole shimmy thing I'm telling you about, staying outside of their range, is you want to know how to how can I control the ground? Easy. Slow Hadoken, F tilt, throwing out grounded normals while walking, because when you're walking, as you can see, I have all my normals at my disposal. I can literally react with all of my grounded options, which is what makes Shoto so good. Whenever you're dashing, it takes you so long to get your shield up, and during that animation, you can be hit with a projectile, a burst option, things like that. That's why dash dancing in general is just garbage in neutral. It's bad. The only times you really want to use dash or dash walking is to gain positioning, or to push your advantage to set up positioning on your opponent when you've already put them into hit stun. So whenever I'm doing this, I'm watching the space. I'm not watching my opponent, and I'm not watching my model. I'm watching the space in between me and my opponent, because when I'm doing this and I'm shimmying and I'm watching the center and I'm watching how they're responding, it gives me the information I need to find my opening. So let's say like I get him to hold shield because I know I've conditioned him to hold shield whenever I throw out Hadoken. I can throw Hadoken and dash walk in with hard down tilt, and I can set up that way. And if I space hard down tilt from a dash walk and I go into crescent kick, it's -7, and max space, that's super safe, and you can get frame traps from that. So you can go for like dash walk hard down tilt, crescent kick, down smash, and then like kind of get crazy with it. Because especially whenever it comes to crescent kick, because if you go for crescent kick down smash and you max space that, they can roll and sometimes they can jump, but if they jump and try to jump over you, you can simply just backdash or like dash walk back and catch their landing that way. Before I continue, let me explain again how to dash walk, because I know I made a video about this, but I want to make sure that I put it in this video too. to dash walk. You have to input your dash, hold the direction you dash, and flick up, down, or in on the C-stick, whichever is most comfortable. And when you do that, as you can see here, I get an extended dash. The next thing I want to talk about is positioning yourself better after you've opened your opponent up in neutral. So if I ever land a opening on my opponent, the thing is a lot of times I will do empty ender combos just to see how they will respond out of hit stun. If you hit your opponent, always expect them to be mashing something out of hit stun. Their main options are jump, attack, air dodge, things like that. So the angles you send them at can normally to give you a good idea of how many options you can cover. So for example, something I like to do a lot is I'll go for like things like this, and then I'll dash walk afterwards to position myself right on top of him. So whenever I do this, I know get up attack can't hit me. If he misses the tech, I can just walk forward and get my punish. If he rolls in, I got him there. If he rolls away, I got him there as well. So because I dash walked, I positioned myself better to be able to punish that. To make all this work, you just have to understand that this is the flow chart. Get the hit, position yourself, act second, and see what they do, and then punish them. You want to position yourself so you're able to punish as many options as possible. So another example here is, what if they like to jump away? Like, you know, you guys have seen it a million times. Like, you'll land up tilt crescent kick, and they'll just jump away, and you can't really punish, and you'll just be running after them. Well, with dash walking, it actually becomes better. So whenever I do up tilt crescent kick like here, I can just simply dash walk, and as you see, I kind of followed him, and now he's in the corner, and now I'm positioned back at that range I told you where you always want to be playing footsies, to where I can sit here. And now when I have him positioned in the corner, all the anxiety is on him, because now he's back to the corner. He only has two options: go through me or jump over me. And now he's back to playing my game. I'm contesting space with Hadouken, throwing out, like, you know, good mid buttons like hard down tilt, F tilt, seeing how he responds. If he shields, I dash walk in, I put on the pressure, and I put on the pressure depending on what his out of shield options are. If you guys want to see more on that, I have that in my other guides. And if he tries to jump over me, I can just dash walk back and take center stage. One mix-up that I really enjoy to do is empty hard down tilt into dash walk. Now the reason this is good is the angle that hard down tilt sends him at now is pretty significantly is a lot better than it was pre-patch. I'll say that, because when I do things like this, I can dash walk, and you see I'm right on top of my opponent. Now a lot of times what ends up happening is they end up buffering shield, or they'll buffer attack. So what I'll do is I'll end up buffering some kind of pressure tool. So I'll go for up tilt or something like that. You know, you can go for mix-ups like that, like hard up tilt into focus. By the way, if that was dash walk hard up tilt, there's actually a way you can approach with hard up tilt just the same as you do with dash walk hard down tilt, like this. Okay, so in order to do this, it's the same as the dash walk input, except whenever you hold the dash, you hold down on the C stick at the same time. So you do the inputs pretty much together. So you dash, hold the dash, hold down on the C stick, and you hold forward at the same time. And when you do that, you get a sliding hard down tilt. And if you do it with holding up on the C stick, you get a sliding hard up tilt, like so. Now, I know that this is a little bit weird for some people to learn, so I would suggest going into the training room and putting it on slow motion, and then just kind of practicing it at a slower speed until you can do it at full speed. Starting around 110, the hard down tilt will actually end up sending into a tech chase angle. So you can kind of go like this, and then you can approach. If you can jab block them, you can kind of do whatever you want from that. So what I'll end up doing a lot of times when I'm playing footsies, like I'll be spacing them out, see how they respond, I'll dash walk again, and I'll find my combo here. Okay? And if they jump out of hit stun, like say they jump away or something like that, I dash walk again just like I did with the crescent kick setup I showed before, and I position myself that way. And now all their options are covered, and they're at the kill percent for anti-air short you can to kill. But Ronan, when should you approach? How do we get in? The way you get in is by finding out how your opponent responds to all the things I've told you so far. Do they like to shield a lot? Then you can dash walk in and get on shield whenever you see that they like to respond with shield with Hadouken. Do they like to jump over Hadouken? Okay, well if you're at this distance right here, you can like jump up with Nair, anti-air them, and like send them away, roundhouse, things like that. Or if you see that they're playing super passive, you can always go into Hadouken hover and approach with it with a dash walk. Okay, that's actually a really big negative stigma about Ken's Hadouken. It's not as bad as people think, especially whenever you pair it, whenever you're fighting someone who's playing super passive, trying to like bait you to jump in. Like I'll go for Hadouken hover like this and dash walk behind it, and as you can see, it positions me perfectly to go into F tilt, down smash, anything, which you know is super safe pressure. You know, go into things like that as an approach. So like using Hadouken hover to use as an approach is really good when you're dealing with an opponent that just doesn't want to swing or doesn't want to engage with you at all. What ends up happening is they'll end up walking and putting themselves in the corner, and then eventually they have to approach because they have to get stage control back. Another thing to keep in mind about dash walking is when you dash walk and jump, you carry more momentum. So whenever you dash walk, whenever you're saying, like, let's say you're in neutral and you know that your opponent likes to, like, sit in space. Like, let's use, like, Lucas, for instance. Likes a space with PK Fire, and you know that he's going to be throwing a PK Fire low. You could dash walk and jump this way, and you'll carry more momentum going forward, and you can land the nair. So dash walking and hitting jump is actually really good. Especially when you do it from a short hop when you're jumping over certain projectiles that hit really low. It also makes going for tech chases a lot more consistent. So this is what it looks like when I do a normal tech chase whenever I land nair. Like, that's not so bad, right? But sometimes you'll get like misinput dash techs because you're inputting dash. So what I do instead is I'll do nair and I'll dash walk, and as you see, like, I can instantly get, you know, the dash, the jab block because I'm right on top of him, and it also gives him a lot smaller window to be able to hit the tech. Another thing I want to talk about right now is spacing with shield. Okay, so one thing that helps me get consistent parries is whenever I walk, I have my Z button on my game controller set to shield because it's a button press, making it easy to parry. So it's literally my parry button. That's what I specifically use it for. I have R set to shield as well, but mostly I use Z for whenever I'm parrying, when I'm shimmying like so. Whenever I'm doing this, I hold, and just like I do when I'm shimmying with all my moves in neutral, I'm holding straight up on my analog stick, and I'm rolling it side to side. Whenever I do this, I don't get misinput dashes, right? And I can react at any point with my shield. If you see the white at the very rim of my shield, that's what I'm spacing. And it makes it easy for me to be able to space in neutral whenever I think I'm going to be, like, my opponent's going to jump in. I can walk back and I can adjust to where they're going to land, and I can parry it successfully. A good drill that I like to do is you set ice climbers to shoot their neutral B, and they'll send out 2 icicles. So a drill that I ran that helped me get really good at this, and it also helps me be aware of the ranges I can and can't react, is I'll have them shoot their icicles, and I'll simply hold forward and I'll walk and shimmy trying to parry it. Like so. And you see here, I can practice walking back while parrying and while walking forward. But while I'm doing this exercise, I'm watching the space in between me and ice climbers, and that's how it helps me react. Because if I watch them, it makes it hard for me to really, like, you know, see when the icicles are coming. But whenever I'm watching the space in between me, I can react accordingly. So, whenever you put that all together with the shimmying and everything like that, one thing I wanted to point out is throwing out safe normals and buffering parry afterwards. Because a lot of times what's happening in neutral, whenever, you know, you see your space in Hadouken and you're throwing out all these buttons, your opponent is watching for the opportunity to find a whiff punish, which normally what they're looking for is you to throw out a button and then they'll swing. But whenever you throw out a button and you buffer parry afterwards, what ends up happening is you'll end up getting a free parry for covering, you know, that small window whenever they can come in. So what I do a lot of times, I'll be doing things like F tilt, like down tilt, roundhouse, buffer parry, down tilt, buffer parry, like walking forward, down tilt, buffer parry, things like that. And if they like to jump in, you know, I'll just simply like do up tilt, walk back, buffer parry, things like that. And when you start abusing the buffer system like that, you end up finding way more parries than you normally would. And that'll be the end of this guide. If you guys would like to be coached by me, make sure to shoot me a DM on Twitter or on Discord. That'll be in the description down below. If you guys would like to support me, come hang out, ask me questions about Ken, Ryu, Terry, or any character or anything meta related, you know, just come through to my Twitch channel at RonanX1819 at twitch.tv. That'll also be in the description down below. Consider subbing and subscribing there as well if you guys really want to support. And with that out of the way, I guess that'll be it, guys. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Peace.